for having me, David.
This is great. It's a pleasure and honor. We certainly appreciate you coming on. And the great thing about RAPB plus GFLR plus SBB is that you've done these mergers, and since you've come in, it's kind of like the state, I guess, of the associations around the country are trying to maybe as far as like scalability and such like
merge, consolidate, try to bring the resources together, make sure that we're cutting down the red tape for the brokers and the agents so they don't have to join as many associations and MLS specifically, so they have access to the data.
And Jeremy Olsher, he's a broker down in Pocatello, right? He mentioned, he wanted to ask, because I always ask the people watching or following, ask questions, and I certainly ask him. He wanted to know, how was it with these mergers? Like, was there a lot of obstacles? What was the challenge? Was there, resistance?
Well, each merger was unique to say the least. So now we have done about 4 mergers in 7 years. And so we did our last one 2 months ago with the South Broward Board of Realtors, which was wonderful. And really, we first did our the merger about 7 years ago with St. Lucie, and that was around the time that we broke down the regional MLS. If for those of you that have been around for a while, we were part of a regional MLS with 2 other associations. That was the St. Lucie Realtor Association and the Jupiter Cuesta Hope Sound Realtor Association. And we decided that it was probably in all of your members' best interest to break down that regional MLS and bring services in-house. There was a lot of confusion on who was servicing the agent, levels of customer service. We were able to bring down the cost for our members as well. And so bringing in that regional MLS spurred our first merger with St. Lucie. During the breaking down of regional MLS, we realized that we had a lot of things in common with our St. Lucie neighbors. And so we thought it was a great opportunity to bring both groups together. And so that spurred our first merger. But before that, the Palm Beaches was actually a product of many mergers as well. There was the Boca Realtor Association, which you might remember, right? Yeah, and so many others. So really, I think mergers is really the essence of who we are here. And so, like again, we've picked that up again 7 years ago. Then we did a merger with the Greater Fort Lauderdale Realtors and the Realtors Association of the Palm Beaches about 2 years ago. And that was the largest merger that the National Association of Realtors has ever seen before. So that was quite the undertaking.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so we're always, very flexible with our mergers, making sure that we continue to tweak the things that we don't have just right. And so then when we, look to our neighbors in South Broward, they thought that we had a really great model going with all of the mergers that we had done in the past. They saw a way that they could fit in with us, and so we decided to put that partnership together with them.
Yeah, and I saw, at least with the South Broward board, pretty much firsthand. So, what was great was it's kind of like the same thing with brokerage, right? So a lot of times when we're recruiting or whatever, we want to be their broker before they actually come to work with us. Right. And it was the same thing that I witnessed, was that you brought them in, you allowed them to see the benefits and services that RAPB plus GFLR at the time were doing, and South Broward was big, participant and kept coming to the meetings, the committee meetings, and then all of a sudden they said, you know what, yeah, you're right. I think that's a phenomenal way to really, show the value by allowing them in and participating so they could see it firsthand what the benefits are.
Yeah, all these mergers really started, with friendships and seeing that actually we were much more alike than we were different. And we know that every single time a broker has to join another realtor association or another MLS, it's a lot more red tape, it's more money, it's harder for you to make sure that you have all the data in the places that you need them to be. So once we kind of realized that there was just so many benefits to merging, these were able to happen.
So, it's amazing the transformation from, RMLS, those that have been around a while, like Dionna said, we used to have a regional multiple listing service called RMLS. And the difference between the board then and the board now is like, it's totally opposites, because as I remember it, as a new agent 17 years ago, when I went in there and I was doing some user groups and stuff with Kristen Carr and Bill Tyson and Bill Richardson and all these people that were kind of influential in getting me involved in the board, they were more of, stay away. They were pushing you away rather than bringing you in. And I think that the great thing, and this is kind of like a segue to, we used to have this, I don't know, animosity, I don't know, it's probably a strong word, towards, the Miami Realtors, when they do the JTHS and all this stuff. And now we have so much more of a collaboration that we're working together, and it's the same thing with the brokerage business. It doesn't matter who you work for. It's really,
it's cooperation.
Absolutely, because we're in this industry together, and the people that are going to keep each other together and collaborate and perpetuate professionalism are going to be the ones that are standing, in the industry for a while.
I mean, that's really one of the things that makes realtors very unique, is that they cooperate and they're competitors. And so, we thought that's very important in the South Florida marketplace, that we also, make sure that we cooperate. We are very unique. Most MLSs do not share actually MLS information. And so to think that you have the largest association to our south, which is Miami, and then our association, which is the third largest in the nation, cooperating and competing is really quite an amazing feat, and a lot of people nationally have a hard time really understanding how we were able to accomplish that.
And I don't know if you've ever read a book called Freakonomics, but I cite this book a lot because I think it was written in 2001, 2002 by chief economists, and they talked about the way that realtors would no longer be valuable in a transaction. And they said by 2005 that realtors would be out of business. And one of the things they do is they compared like industries. So they compared like the teaching industry to sumo wrestling industry.
Interesting.
So the teaching and the sumo wrestling industry are at that time were both cheating. Basically, in order to incentivize teachers and such, they needed to, get better grades for the schools, and they found a way, to get those bonuses. The same thing with the sumo wrestling, there were matches were, bribes were happening and whatever. But the real eye-opener is that the realtors and the realtors associations were compared to the KKK.
Oh.
And the reason why was because they said that we kept our information behind us together, like we held it from society. We didn't want consumers to see it and stuff like that. We weren't transparent. And times have changed since 2001, 2002.
Yes.
And, and it's great to see, obviously the value of a realtor is more on a, hey, we know the area, we know the ins and outs of things.
It's about service.
Service, relationship building, knowing where to go and how to go and navigate some of the obstacles. And, it's a little different than what Freakonomics was.
Yeah, Freakonomics is definitely updated. I do not think that holds true at all. And so, yeah, the data that, is that the brokers own, and that's one of the big things that we, pride ourselves at the Realtor Association MLS is we're very well aware that is the broker's information that you have bestowed upon us in order for you guys to have a more cohesive marketplace to compete and cooperate in. So we appreciate that, and we never call it our own data from the MLS Association, which is, I think sometimes, people do believe that. But the data, is out there obviously on many different portals these days. And the relationship really has changed to make sure that the value proposition that realtors are about the service that you give every day. And I think now everybody is about the consumer, right? Everybody knows that if we don't keep the consumer, front and center, making sure that they feel that they're being engaged constantly, that's the way that we're going to not be as prosperous as we can as an industry, is if we lose focus on that.
So if on a day-to-day basis, realtors get asked this by consumers all the time, and you have a different question that you get asked, which I'll get to. But realtors are like, "How's the market?" Consumers are, "How's the market? How's the market?" Well, when you probably go around, people are like, "How's the MLS? How's the MLS? What's the future of the MLS?" There are so many great things in tech, portals and all these different things that are trying to help the consumer while helping themselves. What is the future of the MLS?
So the future of our MLS is to continue to try to give our brokers and agents as much access to the data that they need in order to do the work that they need to do, and the tools. There's so many different products out there that our MLS committee actually vets for our members to make sure that they're actually useful. We try to make sure that we don't just take every single product in-house, because it becomes overwhelming to the brokers and the realtors on which one should I really use, which one's better. You guys don't really have time to kind of sift through all that. So we try to do a lot of the vetting in-house to save you all time and choose the really best products on a short list that you can all find on your dashboard if you haven't seen that before. Easy, little tiles to see which products and services. But we feel that really helps all of you get to the products that are really the most essential for your business. So that's one of our big value propositions in the MLS. Again, making sure that you have access to all the information, that we've broken down the ways that you can access that information through different feeds. Right now, as we were talking about, we had several MLSs. Each association had their own MLS. And so by taking those all together, we're looking at making sure that we're providing you one data feed in the future, and that any issue that you might have in the marketplace when it comes to data, we can help be a resource for you.
And the great thing is that you travel the country, on many boards and all different things that and you're looking for the most advanced, the most proactive technology, and you're talking to other MLSs, bigger, smaller, and middle. What are they saying? Are they having issues with their MLS? Is there something like a biggest challenge to the MLS in the next 3 years?
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest challenges to the MLS is that they would like to consolidate more and obviously give their agents and brokers more access to data. And so we're very, lucky in this marketplace that we have been able to be at the forefront of really having over 120 miles of coastline just in our own MLS. And several $1 billion worth of inventory. So, we know that obviously when consumers contact you all, that sometimes they think that they want to be in one marketplace and really they actually, want to be in another. And so by you having all that information in the MLS, you can continue to service them if you feel that's the need. So that is a luxury that we have in our marketplace that many MLSs don't. We now have 35,000 subscribers to our MLS. A large MLS nationwide is considered 10,000 subscribers. So when you think about the barriers that they have in their marketplace just to having access to data and inventory, that is something that we have obviously that they're very envious of, I would say.
Sure. And it's really through those mergers that that we've kind of done it, and as broker owners, we talk about scalability all the time. We have to keep scaling and scaling and scaling. So you've done it in process. Last two questions. One is, how's the association? What's the state of the association now, and in the future?
So the state of the association is wonderful. We have about 75 staff members, and as I said, we cover about 120 miles of coastline. With this last merger, actually the merger before this with the Greater Fort Lauderdale Board and the Palm Beaches, we decided to break into regional marketplaces. So we thought it would be great for us to have a large marketplace so brokers and agents could have access to all this data and inventory, but we still know that it's about local marketplaces and neighborhoods. So we wanted to make sure that even though we went large, that we were all still able to come together in local marketplaces and make sure that they were represented well. So we broke into these major regional boards, and I know you're on the South Palm Beach County Regional Board, and they are always placing an emphasis on making sure that the realtors in that marketplace are served. So we think that has really been great for the association to make sure that we're kind of going back to being hyper-local at the same time that we've expanded on an MLS side. We just opened, really obtained 2 new offices in the Broward County marketplace. The merger with the South Broward Board of Realtors has given us an office in Pembroke Pines, and then we actually are opening an office in Hollywood. And that's great because those were marketplaces that were not met either. And so about a few months ago, we opened a new office in Palm Beach Gardens to better service the members there. They were having a hard time with enough parking, a very active membership, more classroom space that they needed. So we were able to open a classroom there, and we are hoping to do some upgrades in our other offices as well. So the the association world is doing well. You know that our main emphasis on the association side is customer service. We have a 92% pickup rate. If you call in our office, we will return your phone call in a matter of probably about 10 minutes if you leave a voicemail. We also have virtual chat that we just added in the last year, and then also weekend support as well. So if you have a lockbox that maybe is malfunctioning, you can log onto the website, put in your issue on the chat, and you'll get somebody right away to be able to assist you. So, making sure that as we expand and grow larger, that we're also concentrating on what's really important at a localized level when it comes to our regional marketplaces and customer service.
And data is a big thing, obviously, with the merger of Greater Fort Lauderdale, people thought like when you get the merger of Greater Fort Lauderdale, you just push a button and all the fields will be mapped and it's easy and we just go on in our merry way and we skip to the loop. Yeah. But that's not necessarily the case. Yeah. It's a little bit more difficult, but it looks like we're almost there. I believe I've seen a significant data exchange from Fort Lauderdale from where it was to what it's now. Because you could basically see if you look at Miami's data versus what Fort Lauderdale's data, that's basically sort of the differences in that you don't get all the complete fields from Miami yet, but the Fort Lauderdale fields are pretty much there. So, right. And that's amazing.
Yeah, we luckily with the Flex system, we're able to create a lot of our own fields and do that work ourselves in order to make sure that the data fields are matched up with the matrix system, which most of our Broward members use.
So last question is I always ask. So what do we not know about Dionna Hall that maybe you'd like to? I don't know. Put you on the spot.
Share?
Yeah, or not like to share would probably be better, but.
One thing, geez, I think that I'm a very real person, just like everyone else, where I have little kids at home and I'm rushing them off to school in the morning, and I'm trying to return phone calls just like everybody else. And my heart, I've been with the association for almost 15 years, and I love doing what we do. I really believe in realtors and representing their communities. I started as a local lobbyist, and I am just really proud to serve you as your CEO. That's
awesome. Well, we couldn't be happier. I mean, I speak to a lot of agents and brokers, and this is by far the most positive that agents and brokers have been about our association. You could see in the chat rooms and stuff like that, we don't really see too much negativity. There's a few outliers, but other than that, really, you're doing a phenomenal job, and I speak to myself, but I also speak to all these agents and brokers. I feel the same way. So I
appreciate you taking the time to be involved, and everybody who's watching this, we really want you to be involved in your association, your MLS. You all making decisions are the way that we continue to improve ourselves on the association MLS level. As I said, David sits on one of our regional boards, and we are actually about to have an MLS Board of Directors meeting, which he serves on as well. And we are always looking for people with a bunch of ideas to kind of make our association and MLS better. So please come out and participate. We'd love to have all your ideas.
Yeah, and if you haven't, if you haven't thought about participation, the first, step obviously is just to reach out to us. The second step is to maybe apply for the Leadership Academy. I think the Leadership Academy changed my outlook on the association and the involvement and giving back, and RPAC as well. And when you're looking at it, it's really important to be in touch with your association so you can be in touch with your consumers. So we certainly appreciate it, and thank you very much, Dionna. This is a real pleasure and honor, and we will see you next Tuesday at 9 a.m. We're confirming. Our Director of Marketing, Rebecca Steinhaus, says we're confirming. We have 2 or 3 people that are lined up. We're just seeing which one is.
Some awesome ladies lined up this month.
Awesome ladies. Thanks. Take care, guys. Breakfast with the Broker every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Thanks so much.